to my shop where I have been working on this very nice Fisher X100A. If anybody has any doubt about it being an X100A, there it is, right on there. Apparently there's a little bit of discussion on the internet about whether one of these really existed or not. Could be there's very few of these guys. There was a bit of a discussion that these were really put together to use up warehouse parts. So there's a few things about them that are a little odd about the front panel and things like that. Doesn't look odd to me, it looks just great to me. And this has been a pretty easy repair. If you watched my last video, you know it just amounted to finding a tube that was noisy. And otherwise, this guy's working great. But now the real challenge has come, and that's putting it back in the cabinet. And you might think, well, that's not much of a challenge, except when I got this, it slid right out of the cabinet. It wasn't screwed in. And it's not just a matter of putting the screws back in and tightening it up. This cabinet and this amplifier, they actually don't go together. Now, this thing says, it has a sticker on it. It has a sticker on it right here. It's upside down, so I'll read it to you. It says, Genuine Fisher Cabinet. So, it's a Fisher cabinet and a Fisher amplifier, but these drill outs down here do not match the holes underneath the cabinet. It's a very challenging thing, because I want to drill proper holes in here and screw this thing in securely. I certainly want to do that. Figuring out exactly where to drill the holes is really very, very challenging. At least for me it is. So I've been thinking hard about this. You know, there's a couple of approaches. Make a template of the hole locations on the bottom here, put the template in, mark it, drill it. Another one is, and there's some challenges in doing that and getting it exactly right. The other one is just take the base off. I think this is the one I'm going to try. Take the base off, and with the base in hand, mark the holes, and then drill it out and screw it in. A few challenges in that too, but I think I got them under control because I've been thinking about this. So that's what we're going to give a go at. Put this in and mount it. I've done this once before with another radio that also didn't match up with its cabinet, and I actually got it really good. So I'm hoping to have good success with this. It sounds like such a simple thing, but if you do it wrong, you end up with holes in the wrong spot. That can lead to even more trouble if the right spot is just right beside where you just finished putting the wrong holes. So I won't worry about that right now. I'll worry more about so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the amplifier into the cabinet and put some marks down on where the corners are, the back corners. I'm taking a look at it here. Yeah, so I'm going to put the bottom in without the chassis, and I have to place the bottom in exactly the same place in order to spot where the hole should go. So I have to mark it. So this edge is easy. This one is just a little behind. I'm also going to assess how critical the position of this is in doing this. So find out how much tolerance there is here for making a mistake. It's pretty heavy considering it's got three pretty substantial transformers on it. Okay, so there we are. First of all, lateral clay. And there's quite a bit I can see. Because it doesn't really fit in this cabinet. There. See, I butted this edge up. And see, this edge is gapped out. So, you know, I would want to get it in the middle, but obviously there's a bit of play here. If I'm not 100%, I should still have some success. Now, looking in the back, I've got to mark that somehow. test. Yeah, felt tip pen would be good, but I'm going to use a pencil. I like pencils. So let's get it right in the middle now. Okay, that's in there all the way. It's pretty much in the middle. Okay. Now this line is actually too far back because the chassis sticks out beyond the base plate a little bit. And for sure, if I mount the plate too far back, if I drill the holes too far back, that won't work. Too far forward, okay, I could bolt it in too far forward, but not too far back. So I need to remember that and be careful about that. Okay, I think that's all I can do there, so I can pull it back out. Fall off your chair during that process? I hope not. The process is still going on. So there we are. Let me take the back off here. Hey, the weather in Toronto today is lousy. It's going to rain most of the day. Gray and rainy. Generally the weather in Toronto is pretty good. It's usually pretty good. But we do get all day rains. Once in a while, a day and a half of grayness. Okay, so here we go. Oh, no we don't. And I'm making this video right now using my own playbook. It's working again. I managed, despite the assistance of the manufacturer, an hour on the phone with a couple of technicians who couldn't seem to get it going again. I managed to get it going again and did the simplest thing, for crying out loud. Just managed to force it off and make it reboot, and it came back to life just fine, like so many computers will. So I'm back in business, and that means there's a couple of videos on here that I can recover now and post that I was really quite sad about losing. So now that we have the back off, let's inspect this guy a little bit. Okay, so right away I see replaced capacitor here and a replaced one here, right away. And for some odd reason, they have shrink plastic around them. Why would somebody do that? That's very odd. Anything else I can spot in here? Let's see. Just a quick look over. It all looks pretty nice, really. I thought this would be jammed with parts. It's not so jammed. I remember working on a very similar amplifier by another manufacturer, and when I opened it up, I almost fell over. It was just jammed with parts. Probably 3 to 4 times as many as you see in here. Maybe even 5 times as many. It was really, really jammed. So I kind of wonder what they were thinking. Okay, so I don't see anything bad going on in here, so there's no use dwelling on it. But this guy looks a little bit. Looks like he's taking a bit of heat, and this guy too. Not really. No, he looks good. He looks just a little darkened in the middle, but what do you expect? Okay, so we'll set this aside so I don't knock it over. Okay, because it's really this plate that we need to work with. So I'm gonna my handy dandy clamps are elsewhere right now, but I'm going to put a clamp on this anyway, kind of an ugly clamp, once I get it positioned the way I want it. There's an ugly clamp. I have these quick clamps I would use, but they're in use elsewhere in my house right now. Take a look at this position, get it exactly right. Clamp's pretty yeah, clamp's really holding on there. Don't want it too far back or we're going to be sad. That looks pretty good, so let's clamp it in there. Now the next thing is phooey. Okay, so two of the holes are actually exposed. One is here, one is here, and there's nothing really to grip here. I was hoping they'd be there. And the other holes are buried under the wood here, but look at this. What if I drill new holes through the metal? That might be a much better plan, you know. I can put it in the middle of these slots. I got all kinds of adjustment room. I can easily put some nuts and washers and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a better bet than trying to drill through for the hole that must be here and the one that must be here, because it's pretty easy to miss. So for sure it makes sense to drill holes in the base. So a little change of plan, but I think ultimately a much better plan. So I'm going to put a clamp on this guy too. I wish I had my quick clamps. I don't. I just have these big guys, but they'll do. Okay, take another look. It looks just fine to me, so I think we're ready to drill. It's a little bit forgiving too, because I could drill holes a couple of times in there if I had to. Don't know why I'd have to. So, drill seems good. Now, what size hole should we drill? Let's consider the screws here for a minute. have to be very long to do this job. So this is actually long enough. Yeah, do I have 4 of these guys? And there's 4. And 4 nuts. Not sure it looks like the right size. But that's the right size. Slightly bigger ones here. And I'll have to get a bunch of washers to make this work right. That's too big. Don't ask me why I'm putting these nuts on here, I'm just doing it. Yeah, this screw looks a little different. Nope, it's my imagination. Look, so we got 4 identical nuts and bolts. Now we can figure out the size of hole we want to drill. Pretty sure that's too small. Well, maybe not. I think that's just fine. Ultimately, this is going to be easier than I thought. Okay, I think my best bet is dead center. Battery's not happy about this. So we'll put a different battery on it. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah! There we go. Yep, goes right through. Oh, I thought so much about this unnecessarily now because it's turning out to be a pretty easy job. That's 2. Let's. I don't like little metal pieces flying around my shop, so let's vacuum those off real quick. Okay. Down to the back. There you go. Let's make this a little easier. Put another clamp on rather than using my hand there. There we go. always scary vacuuming the floor of the shop because you never know what goodies are going to go. Okay, we'll get this guy out of the way. And I guess we don't need these clamps anymore. Go. Okay. Out comes the plate. Now we need to bring the chassis back. Okay, put the plate back on it. Are. So if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm working on a Philips Radio 2, which isn't going so well so far. In that I don't have it working all that well yet. I still don't know why. But I've set it aside for a little bit in favor of getting a few other jobs done that I'm pretty sure I can get right through, like this one. And I have a big old record player I gotta take a look at. And then I'll probably get back to the Philips, and then I still got that shadow meter on the Philco waiting for me to get back to it. Hey, this isn't quite the right size. Okay, let's slide this guy in and see if I didn't get the mark. Oh, right. Well, I may have to run self-tapping screws up into here, come to think of it. I just realized the logistics error in this approach. If I use nuts, I have to get the nuts in under here already. Yeah, that's a logistics problem. So what was easy is just become a touch harder, but I think I probably have some nice self-tappers that'll, let's just say I better. That's what it's going to take. Okay, let's stand this guy up this way. Amazing, not settling in. Duh. Okay, let's see. Maybe if we put it in from the front, that might be a better approach. That's a little better. Yeah, that is a little bit, that's a lot better. Okay, give me 2 blocks. Because the chassis sticks out a little bit. So we're going to stand it up on blocks here like this. There we go. Okay, how did my holes come out? Just line it up here a bit. Okay, there it is. And the holes have to have come out good. How could they not? Let's take a look. There they are. There are my holes. Good enough, that's for sure. Now I got to find some self-tapping screws here. I don't want them too long because they're going right into the radio chassis. I drilled pretty big holes here because at the time it didn't seem to matter. So your standard sort of screw is way too small. And, so, okay. Now we're into a bit of a hassle here. That's a little long. Even that's not big enough. Uh-oh. 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 Boy, that'll do it. Yeah, now if I got 4 like that, that's a good question. No way. Yeah. This is another fine mess I've gotten myself into here. Oh, I'd hate to use something like that because it has the wrong kind of head on it. Though I see a lot of people using them. Okay, that's, how do you... Funny how things go from easy to hard so fast. Well, I got 1 screw. I got 1 screw. I don't think that's quite enough. Hey, look at that one. That'll do it, but it's a different type of screw. It's a slot rather than a Phillips. There's another one. Oh, that's a, yeah, that's 2. There's another one. That's 3. And look out, here comes number 4. Okay, so I got 4 screws here. They certainly won't seat very far. I have to put a pretty thin, large but thin washer. Just looking at some other screws here, just in case I miss something. How about those guys? Ah, the hole's just too big for those guys. Okay, so I'll stick with my little bit short screws here. Find us a washer. I think I see 4 big washers here. Are they too big? Almost too big. But that's going to have to be it, because now I got 4 washers. Okay, let's try one and see if this will really work. I'm going to use my locking screwdriver here. And the answer is a resounding no. This is not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because the screw is actually too small. Arr! Too small in diameter. I drilled the holes too big. This one big honker would work. I gotta find the rest of these. As if there is a rest of them. Maybe there isn't. Well, other than rummaging through all my screw trays again, you know, even if I get 2 of these big guys, I've got the thing secured. Let's see if I can't find one more. Okay, I'm going to try a machine screw. I'm hoping it'll just bite into the hole enough. Hey, that's pretty good. That was pretty good. I must have more of those. Just as long as I don't pull it too tight. These are working good. Can you show me just one more of those, please? One more. Now, if I know my screwdriver history right, and I probably don't, this kind of screwdriver I'm using, for those of you who aren't in Canada, is a little unusual. It has a square head. I don't know how popular these are in the world. They were invented here in Canada a long time ago. about 100, maybe 130 years ago or something like that. What about that guy? No, too short. Right kind, too short. And the beauty of them, I can demonstrate, is you can put the screw on the end and it stays. As opposed to the Phillips, which was the competing American design. The Phillips has other advantages, mostly that you can attack the screw from an angle and still get some drive into it. You can't do that with one of these very easily. But the other great thing about the Roberts screwdriver is it never cams out. You pretty much rip the head off the screw with it. Okay, I'm going to keep searching. I think I found one more. Where did the fourth washer go? There it is. Down on the ground where I put it. Okay, here we are. No, that's not a Roberts. It's a combination Phillips and slot. Okay, so I got a couple different kinds of screws here, but what can you do? There it goes. It's in there very nicely. It's going up, it's pushing on a component. Yeah, wow, isn't that just a little scary? Ooh, that's skipping a little bit too, so that's not so good. Put away my life supply of screws here. Put away my failed nut and bolt approach. You see what happened there? I spent a lot of time thinking about one thing, figuring out all the logistics, start into it, decide to take a different tact. I hadn't thought it through. Discover and my new approach has a logistics problem. I could have thought of that ahead of time and kind of planned a little better for this, but that's how this stuff goes, you know. You get an idea how you want to do things, and along the way you find out your ideas are crap. And you got to come up with a new set of crap ideas. So, but it's a lot better than it was when I got this. It was loose and flopping. Now, I can even put back in the screws it came with. How about that? As terrible as it is, get some grip out of these screws too. Excuse me. Boy, I wonder if this is how they actually did it in the factory. Because I did read that these units were just to consume parts. And, well, that's going nowhere. That's plenty secure now. Happy with that, even though it's kind of a mishmash of nuts and bolts. There's the final. There's the final. There they are, and you can see these guys I put back in with these wood grippers, but they're really not meant for this kind of half-sided approach here. They're really meant to be in a hole like this. But that's not going to come apart, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, do I turn it on and see if I generated a short inside it, or gamble on it? I'm in the gambling mood. So let's plug it in and make sure there isn't a terrible short on it. Okay, so I'm on current limiting. Power's on. Switch on. No, it's working normally. Everything's normal, so I didn't put any egregious short circuit in there. And we're done on this guy. So there he goes. A beautiful amp, man. You get a chance to pick one of these up for cheap, by all means do it. They look pretty easy to work on too. Yeah, I got that pretty centered up in the end. There you go. So thanks for watching the Cabinet Saga.